Hey there, welcome back to Ask Amy. I have a question today from Maria. It's a little bit of a two-parter. So her initial very simple question is, thank you for your podcast. It inspires me immensely. Thank you. I think I've had generalized anxiety disorder for 2 decades. I've always been thinking negatively. Where do I start with change? And what do I do since it's been going on for so long? So, that alone, Maria, excellent question. You've had something or been struggling with some habit. I would call anxiety a habit. It's just a habitual way of thinking. And you say that I think negatively for 20 years. And I know that can feel like 20 years, obviously. I mean, it's in some ways it's all you know. Yet the fact that you're here asking about it, you know that this isn't it. You know that change is possible. I think that if you listen to the podcast, I'm sure you know that you are not thought and feeling, that there's an anxiety-free Maria in there. So, question is, after 20 years of living in this sea of thought, feeling, psychology, where do you start? Where do you start to feel what's there beneath it? Then Maria gives me a little bit more, but I want to just say something here. So I think that's an excellent question. Where do I start? And it's a question that can look like a really important thing when 20 years matters. When how long we've been struggling with something matters. And it looks like it matters when we need to somehow reverse it. When it looks like, oh my gosh, I have 20 years of conditioning, I need to somehow go in and decondition or uncondition or go backward, to dig out and discover the habit free me in there. And I want you to see, Maria, it's so much simpler than that. It's so much bigger than that and simpler than that. Right now, today, 20 years, 50 years, 300 years, doesn't matter. Right now, today, you are anxiety free. You are not a negative thinker. There is part of you that has nothing to do with what you're thinking or where your mind goes or what you're feeling in your body. And that part of you, I know we're not used to looking there. We're used to staring at the psychology that's in our faces. We're used to living in our heads and just hearing that so big. But if you can just for a second begin to kind of get curious about where's Maria in here, beyond the negative thinking, beyond the stuff that shows up in your psychology, where's you? And and when I say you, again, I don't mean Maria. I don't even mean Maria, because Maria is a identity that's thought up. It's made of psychology. I mean, what's there beyond all that? Where's the anxiety free place? I promise you, Maria, it is so much closer than it feels. Your mind, don't let your mind answer this question because it can't get there. It can't figure it out. You are anxiety free right now. Right now. And you have a mind that's just thinking the same old stuff it's been thinking for as long as you can remember. That's not a problem. What we just want to see is like, oh, everything I'm looking for is here. I'm it. I'm it. It can't go anywhere. I've never been separated from it. And I have this river of psychology that I'm living in the middle of that I've just been innocently thinking is me. I've been looking at it, identifying with it, pulling it along through time with me, but that is not me. So our only step here, our only thing we really have to start to see is like, wow, that's not me. Just seeing that alone starts to open you up to what is you. You don't have to make that leap, figure that out, nothing. We just want to see what's not us. That goes such a long way. So the rest of Maria just wrote me back after I wrote her back and said, thank you, I'll address your question. She added a little more. So she says, in primary school, I learned to think negatively so that I don't get disappointed. I was always sensitive and timid. Over years, it spread to constant anticipation of some sort of shock, disaster, or something uncomfortable happening. And she says she's had 2 kids and been successful in work and all of that. But she just always has the sense that she's not enough, that she's helpless, that she can't control things, that something bad's going to happen. And it's draining. Of course it is. Yes, of course it is. Now, Maria, what you're saying here, I love that you can see this because this helps you see what you're not. you can remember. We don't always, and it's okay if we don't, but you can remember, oh yeah, when I was a kid, like I thought I was going to be disappointed, or I was disappointed. So I decided I'll just stick down here in the negative. If I already know what's coming and I'm always looking ahead and anticipating horrible things, then I won't be disappointed if something horrible happens. That's the logic of a machine, of a little kid machine at that. But it's the logic of a machine, right? So that happens. Me too. All kinds of people too. We think, oh, don't get too comfortable. Don't get too happy. What might happen? From how things look, that was the best our brains could see to do to help us. It looked protective. It looked helpful. Of course, it isn't. It's just a machine trying to help you through life, and machines aren't so good at helping people in life. They do a lot more than they actually need to, and they end up getting taking us in the wrong direction. But that's what your machine told you to do. So this habit starts. Now your machine, just your machine, not you, Maria, just your machine. It's always like, oh no, something might happen. What's coming up? Now, I want you to really see if you can feel into this, that it is just a machine on a setting. It has nothing. This might be a little big, so don't even try to wrap your head around it. Just get a feel for, like, what if this is possible? What if all of that stuff that's flooding your head all the time has nothing to do with you? It has nothing to do with your life. It has nothing at all to do with what might happen in your future. It has zero to do really with what's happened in your past. It is not the least bit protective. It is not the least bit helpful. It is just a habitual machine saying the same things over and over again. And because it's been there for so long, and because it brings up all this emotion, and because we're fed all these theories and ideas about, oh, it must be helpful if it's in my head all the time, and all of that stuff, we get a little caught up. We have a worry about something, we get out of the way, and we think, see, my worry helped me there. And oh my gosh, it just starts to really look on some level like all of this worry, all of this prediction, all of this something might happen has some benefit. And I just really, Maria, want you to open up to, you don't have to believe me, but just open up to, what if it truly doesn't? What if it is as sophisticated as this? Just repeat, 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 because it's a machine that needs to be very habitual to keep you alive. It doesn't know what it's saying. It's not giving you accurate information about you or your life. It is just on repeat. Now, I say that because remember what I said earlier, that if we can just start to feel a bit of space and see what we're not, we naturally start to fall more into what we are. We naturally start to fall into the peace and the anxiety-free life that's there, that's always been there waiting for you. It's just talked over by what might happen. Oh no, don't get too comfortable. When we can see this for what it is, and it really starts to look just mechanical and not helpful and not personal, that is what starts to change everything. So you say, it's been 20 years, where do I start the change? This is where we start it. And it just starts with being curious. It just starts with, like, wow, what if that's true? What if what she's saying is really how it is? What if, even though, again, it's talking about you and your life and all of these things that are so hooky, so sticky, what if it were talking in a language you didn't understand? It would just be blah, 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 blah. What if it's more like that, really? It would be amazing if you didn't understand what it was saying. It wouldn't hook you. It wouldn't feel like you, this wouldn't be a habit, because it's only a habit, but not because it has anything to do with you, Maria. You don't have this habit. You don't have anxiety. It's just a machine that talks a lot, and then we think, oh, it must be telling me something helpful. We just misunderstand how a brain works. We think everything it does is helpful in some way. And in the big picture, it is. I mean, it's a habitual machine because it needs to be habitual to keep you alive. So in that sense, great that the machine works the way it works. But the content of what it's saying, the stories and the conclusions, we don't need that. You don't need that. That has never kept you safe, ever. Your mind will tell you it has. It has. What if? You hold this as a what if. What if it has never, ever, ever kept you safe? The only thing it's ever done is make your life very small and full of anxiety. That's the kind of thing that when we really, really let this in, I mean in a big way, what if this is true? It can't not start to change things for you. You don't have to make that change happen. All you have to do, Maria, is consider this giant what if and really consider it. Don't let your mind gloss over it. Your mind will, yeah, I know that. Mm-mm. You don't know it because you're living with generalized anxiety for 20 years. Don't let it stay up at this conceptual level. Really feel this and let it in. Let the what if of it in. You don't have to believe me. Just let the what if in. And I promise you're going to start to see some things that will help because this is complete nonsense. Not just you, Maria. We all have complete nonsense, jabbering machine all the time, and then we think it's our problem. And it couldn't be less of our problem. So I hope that's helpful. I hope it gives you a very concrete, specific, gentle, what if sort of direction in which to look. And thank you for sending your question. And please let me know what you hear in this and how you do with things. And for everyone, this is so big. And I love this question of where do we start with this big change, because it feels so big and yet nothing is big. It's all the same. Everything's all the same size. And it's always starting in that same place of being curious about what's there beyond this experience and what is this experience anyway. Our mind just wants to pretend like we know, like it knows everything, and it doesn't. That's what keeps us stuck. So thanks so much for sending your question. Thanks everyone for listening, and I'll see you back here next Monday. Send your questions to Ask Amy at the Little School of Big Change. Questions about anything at all that you're going through, and I'd love to speak to them. Have a great week.